What's up, YouTube? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and this is my review of the Traxxas Aton. And this is it right here. This thing is a fairly large brushless quadcopter, and this is actually a sports quad with filming and GPS features. So this thing does a little bit of everything, but what it does best is sports flying, and that's what I think that this thing was mainly aimed towards, being a sports flyer, sports quad. It's not a racer, but this thing really does go fast. Can get some speed with this thing. It's a little larger than the average sports quad though. It's larger than 250 size. Let's see, for a size comparison, something you're probably a little familiar with is the Traxxas Alias. So if you have a Traxxas Alias, this is how it measures up to the Traxxas Alias. This thing is substantially larger than the Traxxas Alias. But Traxxas is the mother company of Traxxas. So they did make the Traxxas Alias. This thing has a lot of the features that the Traxxas Alias has. And it actually has the same looking transmitter. The transmitter is almost identical to the Traxxas Alias transmitter. This is the Traxxas Alias transmitter. So as you can see, this thing is almost the same. It feels the same, has the same feel and all, just has these added stickers up top and just these two indicator lights there, which we'll get into a little later. But back to the quad, another size comparison for you. I did this in the unboxing video, I think. And this is the Hubsan H501S. Another fairly large quad, larger than 250 size, but as you can see, it's smaller than the Traxxas Aton. This thing flies awesome. This thing is a beast, man. I really can't find too much negative about this thing to say. It's a modular design, so you can pretty much repair this thing fairly easy. If you were to break an arm or lose a lens or crack a lens, or even to the props and the canopy, they have a lot of different options for different colors on the canopies and all the accessories. I've seen a bunch of different colors for this handle thing here, this grip on the top of the canopy itself. The Traxxas Alias was the same way, very modular design, and this continues with that trend. And this quadcopter flies really nice, especially for its size. It's very nimble. You can adjust like all the rates, the yaw rate and the pitch and roll angles. If you're not happy the way they are, you can adjust them and get them to your liking. And it even has a manual mode where there's no auto leveling. So this thing just does it all, man. I do have one negative about it. That's with the yaw. When you start off with a fast yaw with this, on startup of the yaw, it gets very wobbly in the air. So it seems like it becomes unstable, but it's not really unstable. It just does that wobble. But I found that you can get it to not wobble by just increasing throttle when you do that yaw, when you do a fast yaw. So Traxxas, if you're watching this, that problem can be fixed with a little throttle mixing on the yaw channel. So other than that, it's really hard for me to find any negatives about it. Maybe the size of it, I think it's a little large to be a sports quad, but that doesn't affect its performance at all. It seems this thing performs like a champ. A really awesome flyer. It does have a bunch of features that we're going to get into. The night flying for this thing is really awesome. Everything lights up on this. The motor pods, these lenses around the motor pods even glow. You can see on the bottom there's lenses on the bottom. These things light up pretty bright. You have really bright white in the back and red in the front. But as I said, there are spare parts for this thing. You can get different colors, so you can switch up the lens colors if you don't like red in the front, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to do. Or you can, I'm not sure, but you probably can swap the back, the rear ones with the front lenses, and make the front lenses white and have the rear ones red, without even buying any new lenses, if that's what you want, if you don't like red in the front. But really awesome night flyer. This thing sounds really powerful when it's flying. When I first saw this, I was thinking that the props were a little skinny, a little thin. I was thinking that it might not be as nimble as it is. This thing is really nimble, even with these props. The props seem to be like maybe 9 or 10-inch props on this thing, and they really perform. And I imagine if you get some upgraded props, some props that are a little more stiff here, it'll fly a little better. But this thing has no problem with the way it flies. It flies really nice. It's really fast, very stable. It has a GPS mode on it. So this is the transmitter here. Let's look at the transmitter. The transmitter looks like the Traxxas Alias's transmitter, and it feels nice, and the Traxxas Alias transmitter feels nice too. But upon first seeing it, I thought that I was disappointed a little by the transmitter, because I was thinking that they would probably provide us with a little more hobby grade type of transmitter that looked like it costs a little more money. But this thing isn't bad at all. This transmitter performs well. There's a lot of resolution on the sticks. The sticks feel nice and loose, so they're not too tight or anything like that. I think the sticks feel just right. Really nice control. Really nice feeling gimbals on this transmitter here. Now, when you first turn the transmitter on, you have to turn the transmitter on first and then power up the quad. And then this quad does have GPS as well. It starts off in film mode, and that's the equivalent of GPS mode on other GPS quads, where it's very stable and it'll stay in its position. Altitude hold is in effect, as well as the GPS position hold, so it'll stay in one spot. And it works really well. I was surprised about that. It works almost as well as any GPS quad that you might have that holds its position. This thing holds its position very well. Very little movement on the auto. It doesn't have an indicator of how many GPS satellites you have, though. So it's anyone's guess how many satellites this thing can connect to. But it seems like it doesn't allow you to take off with this until you're home. But well, you can take off, but it doesn't allow you to take off until you get enough GPS satellites for it to take off and do position hold and all of that. But then the home button will light up when it's locked in its position to return to home. It does have return to home on here, and the return to home works really well. Every time I've tried it, it's done really good on returning to home. Lands within maybe a few feet away from where you landed, where you took off from. So pretty awesome on the return to home. Now, film mode is the first mode that it's going to start up in, which is the equivalent of GPS mode, as I said. It gives you a little resistance of your movement. Like if you're trying to fly forward or to the sides, it seems like it fights back. And as soon as you let off the controls, it'll just stop at that position and hold that position. In that instance, when you're in the GPS mode, if you're not at 50% on the throttle stick, the transmitter, it'll beep, give off a little tone, and the tone, it'll be letting you know that you're not at 50%. You're either lower or higher, and there's a different tone for each. For instance, if you're too low, you're probably at 49% throttle. It'll beep at a low tone to let you know that you're actually descending and you're not at 50%. Now, if you're past 50%, it'll give you a higher pitch tone to let you know that you're going above. You're actually ascending. anything you might be doing, moving forward or spinning, yawing, or doing anything, or falling even, if you hold this brake button here down, the quad will immediately stabilize. So it'll stop and hold its position if you hold this brake button here on the right shoulder. You have to hold the brake button down to switch modes, and you press in the right stick. So you hold down the brake button, press in the right stick, and it goes to fast mode now. And that's your sports mode. Not sure. There it is. You guys can see that. We're in sports mode now. It says fast on there. And there's auto leveling, but you get a lot of pitch and roll angles on there. Well, depending on how you set it up, because you can turn the pitch and roll angles down, but out of box, you're going to get very nice pitch and roll angles and a nice fast yaw when you go to fast mode. And so on that mode, the GPS hold, it really isn't working to go against movement or anything like that. So that's your mode that you're going to be flying fast and doing funnels and stuff like that in the fast mode. Now, the return to home does work in all modes. You can be in manual mode or fast mode, and you can hit that home, return to home button, and it'll come back to home where you took off from. Now, these buttons light up after you let the quad sit for a while. When you first plug it in, you have to wait for it to connect to the GPS satellites before you can use the return to home. You have to wait for the return to home indicator LED to become solid. So keep that in mind. But it does return to home in all the 3 rates and all the 3 modes. And so you press and hold this again and press in the right stick, and it'll go to manual mode. As you can see, it says expert there though. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's really small, but it does say expert mode. So when you're in expert mode, no auto leveling or anything. This thing just becomes very hard for a beginner to fly because there's no auto leveling. If you pitch forward, it'll keep that input until you give it another input. So you have to do all your own corrections and all. And that's the mode where you can do manual flips and all, flips and rolls. You can go into the settings of the transmitter and turn your rates up to get it to flip quicker, to turn over faster and stuff like that. Because out of box, I found that it turns over pretty slow. So you have to get up pretty high and get some height before you can do some flips and rolls with it without descending too fast to the ground. You will have to turn up the rates on the expert mode. Now, you can get into that menu by making sure that the motors are not spinning. And then you have to bring the throttle stick all the way down, and you hold down, hit the camera there, you hold down this button. Let me see if I can. Okay, you hold down this button here. Well, the sticks. You hold down the left stick, throttle stick, and it'll put you into the options where you can adjust all the rates and all. Right now I have, what's this, the yaw, rudder, I think. No, this is the rates, I believe. I have it on 85%. You can go all the way up to 100%. And you adjust them by hitting this, the buttons here, up and down would change the values that you have on here to make them higher or lower. And you can switch which mode that you're adjusting by pressing in the right stick there, and you get out of the options by holding down the left stick again, and then it goes back to ready to fly, and you just press this button to take off again. This is an auto take off button. It just spins up the motors though. The quad doesn't actually lift off the ground. I guess this is an arm the motors button, you can call it, but you press this button here and it arms the motors, and then you can take off in whatever mode that you're in. pretty awesome with the way. I like the way that they give you a lot of options. You can switch, like it does have auto flips on it. This is the first brushless quad that I know of that has a flip button, and it does auto flips, and it's just like the Traxxas Alias. Actually, you can get it to do 2 flips in a row, 3 flips in a row, 4, or even 5 flips in a row at the press of one button. And those options are listed online. I think there's an instruction spreadsheet where that tells you what each setting does, because when you're in the settings of the transmitter, you're only going to see things, options like F1, F2, F3, and F4, and L1 and stuff like that. So you have to know what those codes stand for. And I think F4 is the brake button, but you can switch this one up here. This right shoulder button can be switched, but you have to keep in mind that you won't have any air brakes anymore. I always make sure I leave that alone, because the air brake is a very important feature, I think, because whenever you get in trouble, you just hold down the air brake, and which is F4, as you can see, and that'll just stable you out. That'll save you from whatever is happening most of the times. If you mash it down on this button in enough time, you realize that you're in trouble, just hurry up and hold on to this button here, and it'll stabilize the quad. So I think that's all there really is to explain to you guys about it as far as its flight characteristics and all. Only that one negative with the yaw, but like I said, with a little throttle mixing on a yaw channel, Traxxas can easily fix that problem. Or you can just manually do it. If you're going to yaw quickly, just give it a little bit more throttle, maybe 10%, maybe 5% throttle will do it. Make it stabilize on the spin, the fast yaw. So this thing also has an Android app. I'm not sure if there's an app on iOS, but there's an Android app for this that allows you to calibrate the accelerometers, recalibrate the compass, and all types of different options. You can adjust the pitch and roll angles. Really awesome to have that option to do that. So that app is a must, I think. If you have Android, you can download that app and do all the things you need to do with this thing. Make it more awesome. Adjust the sensors and all of that stuff. The props are, like I said, they seem a little thin, but they seem to be pretty durable. I haven't really crashed this thing. Lord forbid that'll happen, but I think my kids might have gotten to it. You can see this little white mark here for from stress on the props. It seems like they pretty much held out whatever my kids did to it. But the battery, let's look at the battery. I guess this can be listed as a negative to the battery connection here. I think this is their own little special type of battery connector here. So you have to get the batteries from them. They have this supposedly different technology with it. It's supposed to be some type of smart charging battery or whatnot, but I don't know. It seems like a normal battery with just a different connector there. So you just plug it in here. This is the charger, LiPo charger. By the way, it's a 2-cell and 3-cell LiPo balanced charger. And so, oh, I see what it is. The technology they're probably talking about is the way that it's set up here. They have a couple thin wires in here going into here too, and so it's a balanced charger with just this one cord here. But anyhow, you plug it in there. You can see this light was red, and it starts to flash green, and it just flashes faster and faster as the battery becomes more charged. And then once the battery is fully charged, this light will just become solid green. And so that's how you know you charge your battery. Oh, this thing does have a voltage alarm built in the transmitter, just like the Traxxas Alias. When it does have telemetry on the transmitter, of course, with the quad, so you can see the battery rating, the battery level of the quad right here on the transmitter screen. It shows up right here. It says auxiliary. So the TX battery level is here, and the auxiliary battery level shows up here when you connect to the quad. That's the battery level of the quad, and when it gets really low, then the transmitter starts to beep. But it beeps really low. I had that problem with the Traxxas Alias as well. The transmitter beeps at low voltage for the quad, but it's very low. So if you're outside in a loud area, like you have some background noise or whatnot, sometimes it's hard to hear that. But for the most part, I've heard it every time it happened. And the beep starts to get faster and faster as the battery level on the quad gets lower, to let you know to hurry up and land it, because as soon as it gets to a certain point, it just drops. Well, that's the way. Actually, that's the way that the Traxxas Alias did it. But the Traxxas Aton is supposed to auto land when that happens. But so it doesn't drop hard, but it auto lands. So you won't be able to bring it back to yourself. It'll land wherever it's at. So keep that in mind. You might be flying over some water or something, and you're not hearing the beep or whatnot, and it'll just land in the water on you. So that's if you don't let it return to home, because it does try to return to home at loss of signal. But I think when you run out of I've never tested it to see what happens when the battery, you just fly it around until the battery dies. So this thing is really big. It's too heavy and big and dangerous, in my point of view, to even test something like that. This thing can fall down, especially where I fly it. I fly over concrete, and so this thing will probably break if it hit the ground. So I didn't get a chance to test that. But for the most part, that's all there really is to say about it. Let's see, we have lights back here, indicator lights on here as well. I didn't show you guys that. When you first power it on, this button is lit solid, the power button. And this is the satellite GPS lock button. This actually starts to flash when you first turn it on, as it's acquiring satellites. And this button flashes as well, the home button. The indicator for home flashes until it gets locks its position to home. Then this will become solid. And this one here, I have no idea what this one, this indicator here means. It actually stays lit, solidly lit as you turn it on. I don't know what this indicator is, but on the transmitter it has indicators too. As I said, this button right here, it won't flash until you're able to take off, and this button does become available before the home button does. And so the home button is usually the last to become solid. So you can take off without it having its home position locked in, but you risk not being able to recover the aircraft if something goes wrong and it needs to return to home. It won't have that position locked in. So I recommend not taking off until you have that solid LED on the home button on the transmitter and the quad. And so that's all there really is to say about it. It did come with some landing gear that attaches to the bottom of it in case you want to carry a camera. And it did come with this mounting bracket here for a camera, but I don't have a camera to test it with, so I didn't really use that function. I was sports flying with this thing. It does come with an extra set of spare props, and it does come with this tool here that helps you in removing the props. It's a little Allen wrench type of tool there, and it does come with a quick start guide that helps you, aids you in getting started quickly, and it does come with an owner's manual. Pretty detailed owner's manual here. Lets you know just about everything you need to know. Everything is in legible English. And so that's it. Let's go check this thing out in flight. Okay, so this is the outdoor flight demo of the Traxxas Aton. And I'm just going to plug it up and let you guys see just about how long it takes for this thing to lock in on some satellites, and for the home button to stay solid. As you can see, the light there flashing, letting me know that it's okay to take off. Just waiting for the lights to finish flashing. So, not the fastest to lock on the GPS satellites and all. So there it is. We have all the lights solid now. The home light, the home LED is lit solid, letting you know that it's okay on the transmitter as well. So if you hit that home button, it should return to home. We're gonna start it now, start the motors by pressing that flashing button there. And let's go. We're in film mode now. Film mode is actually GPS hold, so it should try to stay put. For the most part, it's trying to hold its position here. It doesn't tell you exactly how many GPS satellites is locked in on, so I'm guessing it's probably around 6 because of how it's moving. And the throttle stick doesn't have a auto center on it, so you have to make sure that you're at 50% on the transmitter to make sure you're not going up or down slightly. And so you can see this thing holds pretty well, trying to stay right there. Now if you try to fly in film mode, it'll try not to move, it'll fight against it a little, and wherever you let off the stick, it'll stay in that position. The transmitter beeps. It's beeping now to let me know that I'm above 50%, so it's slightly going up. So now we have to press and hold the air brake button here on the right shoulder to switch modes, and we're gonna go in. We're in fast mode now. So now the GPS isn't fighting with your input. You can see this is the sport mode. Actually, this thing gets very sporty. And I did this at night so you guys can see what the LEDs look like. So the LEDs are really nice for night flying. And I have my pitch angles up pretty high. They actually come lower than what I have it set to. You can see nice funnels and all. Let's look at the yaw rate actually. Now, that's the yaw rate I have it set on. Pretty much, I think this is what it came stock as well, but you can increase the yaw rate or slow it down. So, pretty much customizable yaw rate and pitch. could just go in the settings and adjust it to your liking. Let's bring it back now. We have automatic flips with this. Now you can program it on the transmitter actually to do 1 flip, 2, 3, 4, or 5 of them. So I have it set to doing 5 flips now. So I think 4 or 5. So I can't really do them low. I'll do a flip up here so you guys can see. So that's an auto flip, a 1-button press. Let's try it again. So pretty awesome. Let me see if I can get one out here so you guys can see. See, so I can do it about this height here. Let's see. Let's see if I can get one this height. Okay, so that's the 1-button flips. Pretty awesome. And now let's go into manual mode. I'm going to take it up here. Make sure I'm not over anybody's property in manual mode in case I goof up. But we're going to hold the shoulder button again and press down on the right stick. Now we're in manual mode. Now remember, there's no auto leveling in this mode here. So let's try flip. So when you do the flip, it actually seems to, well, I know there's no auto leveling, but it's easy to get back upright. Once you rotate all the way and you let the sticks go, once becoming upright, it'll sort of just stay that way. It's not really hard to do the flips, but you do have the air brake button there. So if you start to get into trouble, you can just hold down on the air brake button and it'll stabilize it and keep it still. So now we're back in sport mode, I believe. Yes, we're back in sport mode now. So in manual mode, you can do as many flips as you want, as long as you take it up high enough. Now this does come with 2-axis gimbal. This version that I have here, but I actually don't have a camera to fit in there, so can't really show you guys how the gimbal works. So that's all there really is to show as far as the flight performance. Now we have returned to home. Let's see if it's gonna okay, I hit return to home and the transmitter just beeps. You can take control of it in case it's going somewhere, about to land in some undesirable area. So it's coming down on its own now. And you had some visitors from the police. And so it landed. It worked as it's supposed to work.
Man, I thought I saw a UFO, man. I said, I know I didn't see a plane just go. I said, man, what the hell? Did I see you? I said, oh, my man got one of them drone drawers. So let me go check him out.
Yeah.
That's nice, man.
I guess I could show you how it fly and everything.
Yeah, that's nice, man.
Thanks.
You know, every time I bought a couple of them, not like this though, for the kids.
Oh yeah,
They
this
never flew right.
yeah, this a sports one right here.
Is it easy to fly or it takes some practice?
This one has a mode where it's easy to fly. This one here, this is film mode. It'll stay put. When it got GPS and everything, so it'll stay put. When you was coming over, I had hit the return to home, so it was coming to land by itself. I didn't know if you was gonna drive up far. That's why I asked you to stop. Yeah, because it was returning to home. But right now it's in GPS hold. See, it'll try to stay in that spot right there. It won't move from that spot. If the wind's blowing, it'll still stay in that spot. Yeah, and then you have a another mode. This is the fast mode. This is the sport mode right here. Now this mode, it doesn't stay in one spot. It's more for like if you're more experienced and you know how to fly already. And they got flips and stuff it could do.
Now how far up can that joint go before you lose?
It'll go pretty high, but I never really fly high, but it's supposed to go really high.
Right.
You know, you could take it up really high.
That's high enough.
Yeah, I don't like to go much higher than that, but it'll go higher though.
Now, does that have a camera on it? Where you can
I don't have a camera on it, but you can put a camera on it though. You can put a camera on it and fly it sporty or whatnot, or with the GPS film mode or whatnot.
How long it take you to get proficient at that where you can do all that?
Oh man, I was flying. Well, I guess maybe about, I'd say 5 months before I actually knew what I was doing. You know, and was able to.
There's a learning curve to the joint.
Yeah, because well, probably not this kind here. Like if you have it in film mode, it's pretty easy to fly. But in this mode here, like I started off with the little ones that you got to really know how to fly.
Right.
You know, a lot of people, that's the problem with the drones now. The bigger ones, they have that mode on it where it has GPS and it'll stay there. It basically it almost fly itself.
Right.
And so, you know, a lot of people be getting them and flying them that way. But then when it start malfunctioning and you got to fly it on your own, they don't know how to fly. So that's why, yeah. So
it's best just to learn how to fly.
Yeah, I would recommend learning how to fly the little ones first, you know.
Right.
And then once you learn how to fly it, then move up to something like this.
Like bigger.
Yeah.
Because it's basically the same operation.
Yeah, same operation and everything, same controls and all. But you gotta, the main thing is throttle management. Like learning how to keep it in the air, hovering.
Right, hovering.
So.
Now, how many of these things you got, man?
Oh man, I got a bunch of them. Yeah, on YouTube. Frequent Flyer RC.
Frequent Flyer RC?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna pull you up. I'm gonna subscribe to your channel.
All right, that's what's up.